Static passive flexibility is the range of motion in static positions that you can hold using your body weight, for example splits, or using strength not coming from the stretched limbs. Static passive flexibility determines dynamic flexibility and static active flexibility, which is why we begin with exercises for increasing static passive flexibility. Definitions of all kinds of flexibility are found in the book Stretching Scientifically. We begin with squats to splits. It's often been said that you should progress from easy to difficult, from simple to complex, from familiar to new. Obvious, but so many coaches don't follow the simple rules. Let's say you need to do splits because you are a gymnast, a grappler, a track and field hurdle runner, or a kickboxer. Every athlete knows how to do a squat, so why not progress through the easy and familiar squat to splits? Side split, also known as a straddle split, is just a very wide low squat. The deep squat leads to the straddle split. Before we work on the deep squat, I will show an easy warm-up exercise. It warms up quads and buttocks, hamstrings and buttocks, lower back too, and shoulders. I will show it from the side. So quads and buttocks, hamstrings and buttocks, lower back, shoulders. Prior to and while pressing the weight overhead, tense up the buttocks and abdomen. That helps press the weight straight overhead without leaning backward. 1 or maybe 2. So quads and buttocks stretched, hamstrings and buttocks, lower back, tense up buttocks and abdomen, press overhead. That will be 3. Why do I show you this exercise? Because from easy to difficult, it is good to begin exercises with the easiest movements, in the easiest direction. Those easy movements warm you up for the more difficult movements. So, before spreading your legs sideways, it is good to flex them until you are limber enough for the more difficult directions. Before abducting the thighs, flex them. Do squats and forward leans before straddle splits. Seven. Now with this little warm-up, we can do deep squats, and we'll use the wall to keep the deep squats correct. Once you learn to do them correct, you can do them without coming so close to the wall. Let me show how we position feet and so on. feet about this width. Deep squat and up. Now to the wall. Same feet position. 1, 2. Do the deep squat facing a wall to learn pushing the hips back behind the heels while maintaining an upright trunk with normal lordotic curve in the lower back. 6, 7, 8. Now I will show a front squat with kettlebell. Front squat is when you put the kettlebell on your chest. It allows you to go deeper into the squat. Every time you go down, your weight should shift to your heels. Every time you go up, your weight should shift to your toes. Now we'll do a wider squat with a lighter weight. That will be a 5-step straddle stance or 5-step wide deep squat. Every time we go down, we shift our weights to our heels so toes can be picked up. Every time we go up, we shift our weight towards the toes. 1, 2, 3. And every time we go down and shift our weight towards our heels, we stretch and strengthen mostly the hamstrings. And every time we go up and shift our weight towards our toes, we strengthen the inner thighs. That'll be 5. Do the deep squat in a wider stance to gradually get used to lowering the hips below the knees in a wide straddle stance. Martial artists might recognize this wide squat as a wide horse riding stance. We do as many repetitions as we feel is enough to increase our range of motion, allow us to lower the hips way below the knees. And the amount of weight that we use is just the amount of weight that will do the job. Too much and it will be hard to sink very low because we get too tense. Too little will not press us down hard enough to sink low enough for our purpose. Now I show it from the side. All it takes to reach a straddle split is to gradually squat deeper and wider. Simply do what is easy. If at any stage widening the squatting stance is difficult, then deepen the squat instead. In a short time it will be easy to squat in a wider stance, eventually a side split. With this simple approach there is no need to explain and teach how to position the pelvis, thighs, knees and feet for the greatest comfort and range of motion. The squatting will take care of it. You can try and sink your hips lower and shift your balance, shift your weight from foot to feel more stretch in one hip and in the other. Now, a really wide squat. 7-step squat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this position is easier to sink between the knees. 5, 6, 7. Now in this position, tense inner thighs as if to bring the feet together or raise your hips up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Relax and try to sink the hips as low as possible. And you can lean forward, the easier to move the hips back. Relax in this position and tense again. And relax. As I relax, I'll show you something. Beginners or people with weak inner thighs will put hands on their knees like this. This they do instinctively because it takes the weight off the inner thighs. By transferring the weight of the upper body directly to lower legs. So there is less weight carried by the thighs. Okay, so they stand like this. Okay, enough relaxing. You can spread the legs a little bit wider. Tense. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Whoa. Relax and lean forward and put the butt back, which I will show from the side soon. Okay. And once again, tense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And here we are sitting. Now tense. And sit. With every cycle of tensions and relaxations, you should be able to move your hips more forward until eventually they will be in the line of feet. And then at the end of the set you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. people who begin this system of strengthening and stretching might need even 6 such sets to reach their maximum range of motion. It does not mean that they will sit on the ground within 6 sets, but it might take them even 6 sets just to reach their maximum. The more you train like this, say a couple of months, some people a couple of weeks only, the fewer sets it will take you to get to your maximum range of motion, and I don't advise to go and do more than 6 per session. It's just too tiring. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. I show the same exercise from the side. So here we tense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Relax and see what happens. I'm pushing my hips back. Relaxed, and now tense again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Relax. Spread legs a little. Tense. Relax. Here I am sitting. The hips are still far behind the line of feet. No problem. And see, now they are a little bit closer. Few more tensions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Now you can bring your hips much closer using your hands. See, now we are pretty much in straight line. And now we are. Now, many of you will not have enough strength in the inner thighs to spread your legs so wide as to sit on the ground in this very wide squat. Or simply, you won't trust your inner thighs to do this. And it's better to be careful than to be sorry for a long time. So now I will show you a way of speeding up your progress without any risk. Again, 1, 2, that's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it begins the same as the previous exercise, which is actually the same exercise. Now you tense as much as you can. Relax, and you are so far from the ground. You don't want to spread your legs because you are afraid. Put your hands on the mat, one in front, one in back, and don't go down, go back to sit down. Okay? Now, with some help from your hands, get up. Tense, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever seconds you need to get the maximum tension. Relax. Put hands on the mat and sit back. With little help from your hands, get up and tense again, and so on. Gradually you will be using less and less help from your hands to sit back and down and get up. When you can do that, it means that you have enough length and enough strength in your adductors to slide into a straddle or side split without help from your hands. I will show it from the side. 5, 6, 7. So again, you tense, you relax, and you're still too far. See, I'm sitting back. The more flexible you are, the more forward you can sit. The less flexible you are, the more backward you have to sit. Sit here. Get up using as much strength of your legs as possible and as little help from your hands as possible. Okay? And then eventually you can do this by spreading the legs wider and getting up using only the strength of your legs. There is another method of speeding up progress, also safe and not requiring to spread the legs beyond what you feel you can control. This is using an overhead press. When you press even a lightweight overhead in a very wide squat, or actually in any squat, the range of motion in your hips increases. So here it is. I will show it first from the side. And this is the position. I'm not going to go beyond it. My goal is not to spread my legs wider. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perform the overhead press in a deep squat to speed up increasing range of motion and strength of your hips, as well as for greater overall effect of the squat. See, I'm already sitting. Now the same thing from the front. 1, 2, 3. It is strange that this exercise is not widely used for increasing leg flexibility. It is so strange because this exercise naturally flows from commonly taught deep squats and overhead presses and combinations of this. But not noticing this is typical of people who do things mindlessly and so can't see the full potential of what they look at. Anyway, the use of this exercise for increasing range of motion of the hips up to the full splits is a result of observing what happens in a deep overhead squat. Now, a little explanation how this way of stretching relates to other ways of stretching. When you can do a split like this, let's say you can't, you are still way here. But by strengthening the inner thighs, you manage to get here. So your feet and your hips are very close to be in one line. When you're here and you can pick yourself up or get up, you can do pretty much any other split. You can turn your feet up and sit in this toes up split. You can lean forward and do so-called roadkill stretch. You can turn to the side and turn it into a front split. Okay? And like this. Because doing split this way, you have strengthened the inner thighs and back of your thighs, your hamstrings. So changing position is no problem. Switching to a front split is no problem. You have enough strength and length in hamstring to do that. Enough strength and length in the inner thigh of the rear leg to do that, so no problem. But the other way around, it practically doesn't work. People who strive to do the split by spending long time in the so-called roadkill stretch or stretching with toes up, usually don't have enough strength eventually to get up. They wasted time. If they wanted to have that strength of hips to be able to get out from very low positions, they would have to start anew, like never stretching before. They would have to go to the squats, learn the squats, make them wider, and then they would have that strength. Now, a demonstration of joint stability that this way of stretching delivers. I get myself light and weight. and a heavier weight. Some of you might recognize this position. It's a misuse or misunderstanding of an exercise. This is the real deal. We sit about hand length in front of the kettlebell. I will show it from the side soon. And now, sitting in this teddy bear-like split, move forward, hips close to the kettlebell, feet on the ground, lift the kettlebell, now the important part is lower the kettlebell. First hips, then the kettlebell. I'll show it from the side with a slightly heavier kettlebell. Knee. About one hand length ahead of us. Now, bend the knees, roll forward, stabilize yourself, pick the kettlebell, pick up the kettlebell, now the important part, kettlebell up, hips down. Can you see the weight of the kettlebell? No? That's fine. It's it's slightly a couple of pounds more than 1/3 of my body weight, so it's light. Because in these exercises, we don't try to beat records, we try to gently strengthen the hip joints. So here it goes. I put this kettlebell side on my head of myself. So again, one hand and forward. Pick up the kettlebell. Pick up the kettlebell, lower the hips, sit, and then you can get up again. Here I try to lift a weight that would be about half my body weight, and really more is not needed. I wonder how I managed to tie it up. It is easier to tense stretch thigh muscles in the wide squat position than in the roadkill position. So, trying to reach the side split through the roadkill position leads to a weak split, and this makes sense. Stretching in weak positions leads to weakness in the maximal stretch. Okay, now we can get up again. Okay, that was 32 kilos. What else I was supposed to show? Since we are showing kettlebells, and they're used in stretching, I will show you another exercise with small kettlebells. So once again, all those exercises I shown in this chapter during this workout can be done with any weight, with dumbbells, with plates, with stones. But since we use kettlebells today, because they are so fashionable recently, I show one more exercise for stretching and strengthening at the same time with kettlebells. And this is what you could do in case you feel that your inner thighs are lagging so far behind, say your hamstrings, that they are the limiting factor in those wide deep squats. And wide deep squats don't strengthen your inner thighs for some reason sufficiently to progress all the way to a straddle split. So here is the exercise. That's why kettlebells are better than stones. You can secure yourself with hands. Before you attempt to do any number of those adductor flies, you must be able to do, without any discomfort, the same number of lying leg raises with the same amount of resistance. Pay attention that knees are bent, hips are flexed too. If you want to make it more difficult, straighten out the legs. At the beginning, use no resistance other than the weight of your legs. Then use ankle weights, and eventually, if you want serious strength in your adductors, use kettlebells or iron boots. Use hands for security, safety. If, when doing adductor flies, you have difficulty keeping your legs in the transverse plane, it means your hip flexors are too weak. To make it more difficult, straight legs. To make it easier, bent legs, flexed hips. Whatever you do, don't let your lower back get off the ground. The lumbar part of your back, your lower back, should be pressed into the ground, like so. See? Can't put your hand in there all the time. If your lower back comes off the floor while you do adductor flies or lying leg raises, your lower back is too weak. If your lower back tenses uncomfortably while you do other exercises, including isometric stretches for the legs, it is too weak. The lower back might be strengthened by back extensions, good mornings, and deadlifts. As you strengthen your back and lift more weights in lower back exercises, you should be able to use gradually heavier weights in exercises that strengthen hip flexors, such as laying leg raises, and in exercises that strengthen hip adductors, such as adductor flies.